Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you live around the world. Yes, I have just completed the previous video, and if you're looking at the time in the bottom right hand corner on my computer, you can see it's not been a long period between them. What you can see is a slightly tidied up representation of what I wanted to show, but forgot. Well, and that was the structure underlying the creation of the dome as I want to have it drawn. We can ignore this one. This is the conventionally drawn method, so I'll hide that. This is the ugly version. This is the ugly duckling. It never gets to be a good looking dome, but I'll just leave it at that. And of course these are the greatly truncated versions where we've broke the line of the dome through the second tier of triangles or surfaces. And this rather lovely looking structure is the bones upon which the surfaces are created. Now, you'll be asking yourself, how the heck did I get to that point? Or you might be thinking, oh, David has got an artistic bent in his body after all. You'd be wrong on that latter point. But when we see the underlying structure of it, you say, that is actually quite nice. You know, it shows you where I live in my head. I think that's really quite nice. How did I get to it? And I've got to say, not easily. But when you see it, you go, of course that's the way it's supposed to be done. I made the comment that the quadra approach to drawing the dome was dead easy. And I'll keep that opinion. But I'll qualify it by saying dead easy if you want to create the flush in plane sided carport gazebo type. Getting to the dome itself, a little bit less so, but so I'm going to unhide, which means I'm going to bring back everything else, which is a bit of a nuisance, but I'm going to unhide everything, including what's seen here, the surfaces of the dome. Now, if I just tidy up the background again, sorry for any jumping around, but I put them into a layers positioning, or like I use here, organizer, so that we can better go in and out to show what I've done. Whereas if you look at this line here and this line here that I've highlighted, they are the flush in plane sections. I hadn't, and there was no need for it, drawn the horizontal. So I'd drawn the on one axis, second axis, but I needed to draw the third axis to give the clarity. Ditto for this line, this arch or arc coming down here and here. And while it's not shown, there would be one coming around horizontally. So those arcs or arches are the three in each. How would you say? Each of the three axes, but they needed to be drawn in not pairs but triplets. In fact, thinking about that, I must have deleted it because I had the damn thing. It's there. When you do that, it fills in all these surfaces, so we'll get rid of those. And that one, so that they show you where the points of intersection are, and that's what these horizontal lines and vertical lines are inside the model. So when we now join the surfaces, or the points to create the surfaces, we've got the underlying structure for it. Now, why this is so confusing, not confusing, but, well, it is. I can't group them just yet, because when I do, because of the other lines, they of course auto divide themselves, and it becomes a wee bit of a nightmare. So I'm going to have to address that at some point. But in short order, if I think, well, the top triangle for the pyramid is one that I generally draw straight away. So when I was doing this examination, I thought, well, to be fair, isn't that the same triangle? And your response should be, why, yes, David, it is. So that's what made me start thinking there is a method for creating a symmetrically drawn quadradome. It retains some of its grid-like structure, but not all of it, which is a bit of a shame. But and again, there's probably a better way of doing it. I've just got to this point and decided, well, that's enough for me. Now, when these two arcs intersect, they create this vertical line, which, well, they don't create it, but I've shown it with a vertical line. But it creates the point at which those two arcs intersect and permits me to draw the next three sides for the triangle. And that was the next step. That was the next step that made me think that yes, indeed, this can be a symmetrical dome, not balanced in its surfaces, but at least around the three axes we can create the structure that I think is beneficial to least chase down. Now, this point here, this surface here, may well be rotated around these other points for inclusion in your dome, which makes it more akin to the conventional drawn dome. And as Paul Robinson does, he does the same thing. He has an axis around which he will rotate. In this case, it's 240 degrees, which would be correct because I've already drawn this one. So in short order, we can start creating each of the surfaces and then rotating them around into their other positions, indicating we've got it right. I, however, did it the hard way, and I created each surface on its own. So the puzzle was, where were the next surfaces to be created? So thinking, oh, hang on, I'm making it life hard for myself. What was the conventional? So that's why I drew the conventionally drawn dome in. So I did that, and I could see that this was the next, or these two here are the next two surfaces. Well, we've already got the points for those. We don't have to create anything extra. So I come back into the model, choose a point there and there, down here and back here, and I get that whoops, I only double click there, David. So we get that surface. We need this one as well, so I'll draw that now. Okie dokie, I'll draw that now. Incorrectly drawn. See there, we've missed out the correct intersection point. So I will delete that line, and that line, and that line, and zoom in a little bit better. Line to there, and to there, and now back up here. Oh, that could be a little bit better. And now, choosing those two surfaces, I can rotate it around this neutral axis, which I'll talk about shortly. And I rotate it 120 degrees times 2 gives me the other surfaces. Get rid of that, don't need that. So that's when I group them together into their 4 surface groups. And I'm quickly going to colour it. I'll just, because when I bring in the other surfaces again, of course they'll interfere. And I might even group those together. So we're left with this shape as we had in a previous video, and where I actually wound up creating a pentagon type structure rather than the hexagon as we would prefer. So again, having something to reference, I knew where to draw my lines, because I was about to start creating it using this neutral axis, or this point of rotation, thinking that I had created the intersection points with the vertical lines. Hence, this must be a point around which you draw your dome. No, as it turns out. Like in this instance here, for the conventionally drawn dome, it's just these 2 points drawn together. So now, if I draw to there, and up to there, and back down to there, when SketchUp draws the a line and fills in a surface, you have to re-click your points. So now, so when you're drawing a line, you have to re-click. You just can't continue around the structure. So this one, this surface, I'll give a wee bit of a colour. I'll give it that colour there. This means that I've got 1, 2, 3 surfaces left to draw, making my hexagons pop into existence. I'll do that now. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1. Okay. Group that. I'll colour that right now. I'll make it a horrible green. Oh, terrible. And I will now rotate that 120 degrees. Oops, I'll do that again, shall I? Doesn't matter where you do it, you just rotate it 120 times 2, creating the dome. Cool, eh? Now that's doubled up there, because you can see it here. I think it's called anti-aliasing, which is a bit of, it's when 2 surfaces are interfering. So I'll just make group, and I'll hide it. Yes, so I'll just back out of that. But we've got our surfaces now, and we've got our group of how we drew the dome underlying it. So if I just pause here and tidy it up for you, sorry about the jumping around there, but what we wind up with is, again, the structure under which the dome is hidden or built upon. If I unhide everything, we've got our surfaces. I've recoloured this one, but we've got the dome that we had wanted to build. I can hide that. I go into plan view, take the perspective off, and as I said, while we've retained a little bit of the grid-like structure, we've lost it in other ways, but I think that's not a bad compromise. Not as quite, but again, the method that I created with the truncated version, it would pop back in, the grid-like aspect would probably pop back in once we truncate them. This is the untruncated version, just as the conventionally drawn dome is also untruncated, but this one has its flush and plane component here, just not in the areas that I want it yet for my my pergola, which I need it through this section here. So that'll be the next endeavor. We've gone way too long on this video, but you can see here in short order you can create the structure for your dome through this rather elegant looking structure here, or method here. Okay, was that any benefit? Well, it was to me, and I hope to you. Okay, we'll see you later. Bye.